What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style O.G. And on today's video, we're going to discuss 10 bad habits that could ruin your sex life. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap that notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Patrick Simmons, salute. Now, hopefully you're going into your sexual experiences wanting them to be pleasurable for both you and your partner. But as men, we don't always get our technique down and the approach quite right. And that's what I want to talk to you about on today's video. On today's video, I'm going to share with you 10 bad habits you might be engaging in, whether purposely or not purposely, that can ruin your sex life. So without any further delay, let's hop right into it. First up is a bad habit that plagues a lot of guys, especially when they're inexperienced. And I must admit, I fell into this trap when I first started having sex as a young guy, thinking every woman's body is the same. Here's the thing, when it comes to sex and the woman enjoying it, it's not a one-size-fits-all operation. No pun intended. What feels good to one woman might turn the next woman off, and vice versa. Each and every woman's body is going to be different. And knowing that, here's what you should do. When you're engaged with a woman, pay attention to her body. Take note of what her body responds to. That's your cue that she likes that. But also pay attention to the things that her body doesn't respond to. You might want to lessen or not do that act anymore. The main point here is to remember every woman's body is not the same, and the way you please Sarah might not necessarily work for Mary. Tailor your sexual technique specifically for the woman you're with. Now, next up is a bad habit that's near the top of the worst ones that can ruin your sex life. That's watching too much pornography. But notice what I said here, too much. I'm not someone who believes you shouldn't watch any pornography at all. Some in moderation is healthy. But here's some of the problems with watching porn. One, it sets false expectations in your mind of what sex should be. Not every woman looks like that, is going to do that, or sounds like that when you touch her. When you get this false expectation, you expect women in the real world to react, act, and do the same things. I'm here to tell you, it's probably not going to happen, buddy. Not to mention, watching too much pornography can lead to desensitizing you to sex and making you have to do more extreme things to even get aroused. So remember, I don't have a problem with you watching a little Pornhub here and there, just keep it in moderation. Now, sometimes there are conditions that are affecting your sex life that might not be under your control or your fault at all. Take, for example, erectile dysfunction. I know a lot of guys are embarrassed to discuss erectile dysfunction when they're suffering from it. That's why, if that sounds like you, I highly recommend you talk to the good people over at today's video sponsor, Roman. If you want help with erectile dysfunction, Roman makes it easy to talk about and treat ED. Now, when it comes to erectile dysfunction, it's often something a lot of guys either brush off or blame on themselves. But Roman is here to give you the advice you want and the help you need with none of the shame. A healthy life includes a healthy sex life. And if you're struggling with ED, you definitely won't feel like your best self. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing treatment for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. Roman will connect you with a healthcare professional that will help come up with a treatment plan specifically for you. And if deemed appropriate, a licensed U.S. healthcare professional will prescribe the medicine you need to treat your ED. And Roman will ship that medicine right to your door with free 2-day shipping. And to get started with Roman is very simple. All you have to do is go to getroman.com/style and complete an online visit. And as a member of the Style O.G family, if approved, you'll get $15 off your first ED treatment. You don't have to suffer with erectile dysfunction in silence. It used to be tough to talk about ED, but now there's Roman. So make sure you hit that link in the description and get started treating your erectile dysfunction today. Another bad habit that definitely can ruin your sex life is skipping foreplay. Now, I get it. You're excited. You want to get right down to it. But you need to keep in mind, sex doesn't start when you hit the bed, especially for women. It starts in the mind. And in general, women's bodies take longer to warm up than ours do. So what that means in layman's terms You can't skip steps. Foreplay is necessary. And that links back to one of my earlier tips. If you take your time with foreplay, you can learn that woman's body more readily. And not skipping foreplay actually helps you out. It leads to a woman getting more aroused and much more readily reaching orgasm. Not only satisfying her, but making your job a little easier. So remember, a little patience, take your time. Skipping foreplay can mess up your sex life. Now, next up is a bad habit you hear about all the time when it comes to your overall health. And it can definitely be detrimental to your sex life. That's having poor dietary habits. Eating those fast foods, processed foods, trans fatty acids can lead to a decrease in testosterone production. It can decrease your energy levels. It can decrease your blood flow. You know, the thing that's necessary to get an erection? And also, a poor diet can lead to decreased sensitivity, meaning you won't enjoy sex as much. Trust me, if you have poor dietary habits and you clean them up, you'll see an improvement in your sex life almost immediately. So as I said, having good dietary habits is good for your overall health, but it also can help your sex life. Speaking of bad habits that affect your overall health, but definitely can be a detriment to your sex life, here's where our next habit comes in. It's if you have trouble managing your stress. High stress levels and difficulty dealing with it can have a direct effect on your body, mentally and physically. And here's how that plays out in your sex life. Not managing stress well makes you fatigued, irritable, makes you tense. One of the direct effects to your body of being under stress is the increased production of a hormone called cortisol. Your body produces this when it feels like it's in a fight or flight situation. You know what suffers? Production of testosterone. Of course, that leads to a poorer sex life. Not to mention, being stressed all the time can make you distracted or even depressed. You want to improve your overall health, including your sex life? Do a better job of managing your stress. Now, next up is another case of a little bit might be okay, but too much can definitely ruin your sex life. That's drinking too much alcohol. Now, I know drinking a little bit puts a lot of us in the mood. A little bit is okay. But drinking too much alcohol can lead to these results. Too much alcohol actually can affect the blood flow to your penis, might even cause erectile dysfunction. Too much alcohol can reduce testosterone production, and it can even make it difficult for you to have an ejaculation. Too much alcohol can actually decrease your sex drive, and it can lead to a decrease in sensitivity to your nerve endings. You know, like the nerve endings in your penis? Yes, a little alcohol might loosen the situation up, but too much alcohol can actually ruin your sex life. No, we're not quite done talking about bad habits that can affect your overall health, but specifically affect your sex life. Next up, the lack of quality, consistent sleep. Your body needs sleep to repair and to rejuvenate. And if you're having a lack of sleep, it definitely can affect your sex life. Operating without enough sleep leads to low energy. It can even lead to you having less interest in sex in the first place. Not to mention, a lack of sleep can lead to a reduction in testosterone production, increase your irritability and your tension, and boost your stress levels. Remember earlier, that can ruin your sex life. One of the most important habits for your overall health, but specifically for your sex life, make sure you're getting consistent, quality, good nights of sleep. Now, next up, we have a bad habit that isn't necessarily just going to be your fault. It can be you and your partner's fault. That's taking your smartphone to bed with you. There was a recent survey that was done that showed that 75% of Americans take their smartphone to bed, but 35% of them reported it had a negative effect on their sex life. Bringing those devices to bed distracts you from your partner. It decreases your ability to have quality time. Her looking at her phone, you looking at yours, reduces your intimacy. It's harder to connect that way. You both are concentrating on separate things, whatever on that phone screen, not paying attention to one another. The key thing is your bed should be primarily for two things: sleeping and sex. You want an easy way to ruin or decrease the satisfaction of your sex life? Keep taking that smartphone with you to bed. Next up is a bad habit that definitely can have a detrimental effect on your sex life, especially if you're in a long-term relationship. That's doing the same thing and those same moves all the time. Now, I get it. When you've been with your woman for a decent amount of time, you guys can develop a routine. But here's the thing. That can lead to a duller sex life. The same old foreplay, the same old positions, less better results. As you guys grow into your relationship, Your desires and needs, and hers as well, when it comes to sex, can evolve and change. So that same old two-step routine might get the job done, but it might only get it done barely. As you grow into your relationship, try not doing the same thing all the time. It can ruin your sex life. Which leads very nicely into our next bad habit, especially if you've been with your partner for quite a while, or even if you're just starting out. That's having a lack of communication with your partner. Here's the thing. The best way to have a good sex life with the same consistent partner is to talk to each other. This is important for both parties. Yes, you can try to pay attention and listen to her body, but why not go to the source? Ask her what she likes. Ask her what she doesn't like. And don't be afraid to communicate what you like, don't like, or what you might want to try. In a lot of cases, one or both partners could be suffering in silence, not wanting to hurt the other person's feelings. But I highly recommend you drop your ego, talk to her about what she likes, doesn't like, and what you like and don't like. And don't take it personal. One of the best ways to improve your sex life, especially in an important, consistent relationship, communicate with each other. Now, of course, we all want to have a satisfying and enjoyable sex life, both for ourselves and for our partners. And I believe if you take note of the bad habits we talked about in today's video, and if they apply to you, you work on them, you'll be well on your way to improving your sex life, both for you and your partner. And as always, I'd love to have your input. Let us know in the comment section what bad habits you want to warn the Style O.G family about that could be ruining their sex life.